That's Monday. Here we are. We are live, guys. So glad to be with you again. Neil D'Souza, your host, and of course, with me always, the illustrious Jason Vaz.
Hello, everyone.
And then, Jason, who do we got down here below us?
Marlon Yeeman.
What's up,
The
boys?
man, the myth,
The man.
What's up, guys?
Guys, listen, we always know that we're going to have fun here on Magic Mondays. We hope you guys know that too. And you're coming along with us for the ride as we talk about real estate and investing because you're talking to the wizards of Ontario real estate and investing right here. And so I know you guys probably know we have a guest coming on later on today on the show. His name is Alfonso Cuadra, and he's going to talk to us about how he got to 500 units, 500 doors or more. Actually, we should find out exactly how much he's got at this point because we know that the wealthy keep amassing. And I don't know if he wants me saying that, but anyways, we know that he keeps building. So, but exciting. He's going to tell us how he got there and how he did that. So you guys excited about that?
Oh, I'm super excited for this one.
Love
I
this
think
guy
it's
for
a
real estate.
fantastic thing. I think this is what everyone should be striving for.
Right.
I'm glad we can have him on our show today.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, great. So, guys, hope that you're wrapped up. You're tied in. You got your buckles on. We've got a show for you, and we're gonna kick it off with who do we got up first? We got Marlon's Mortgage Minute. You gonna rock and roll the show?
Yeah. Let's get rolling, baby.
Let's go.
All right. So, not too much mortgage specific stuff. It's just some more stuff on the economy. Everyone's always asking, so how's the economy doing? Are rates going up? So, some more stuff on Canadian household finances. A good indicator that we like to look at is credit card delinquencies and bankruptcies. And the great news is that that's definitely on a decline. Usually credit defaults are our first indicator of financial stress. And in this case, we're at very low levels. So here's a quick chart that just kind of shows you, if you look back at May 2020, you can see we're at the 46% mark. Now we're at the 52% mark. So this is the amount of people who are paying off their credit cards faster than usual. So you can see on many people's minds, the goal here is to pay down their credit and to get out of debt quicker. Delinquencies. So delinquencies are when you forget to pay your credit card for 30, 60, or 90 days. Usually this has a detrimental effect on your credit score. You can see that this is on a huge decline as well. People are becoming much more aware that they need to keep their credit in good check. So a lot more good behavior out there during this post-pandemic. Consumer insolvency. So these are bankruptcies. Bankruptcies are way down. As you can see from the chart, we had about 140,000 insolvencies at the beginning of 2020. We're now down to about 86,000. So that's a huge decrease. Anything in a downwards trend here is a good indicator of the economy coming back. So disposable income. So as you know, I always say we have an income problem here in the GTA. We probably don't make enough money, but it is rising. It is up. Household income grew by 2.2% over the last quarter. This is very good. This is the fastest growth or largest growth increase we've seen since 1992. So, this is a strong indicator of the economy rebounding right out of COVID. Debt. We always talk about debt and, everyone is in debt. Is it bad to have debt? As you know, there's two types of debt. There's good debt and bad debt. The good news story here is that for every dollar that a household owes in debt, they have about $6.50 in assets. This is the highest it's been in 20 years. So that's another chart again. As you can see, it's been slowly increasing, but you kind of see it kind of pop up after Q1 2020. And I would argue that a lot of that has to do with real estate. Real estate makes up a large portfolio of people's assets. Assets could be real estate, crypto, savings, mutual funds. The stock market has done quite well. So even though people have taken on debt, or have X amount of debt, we actually have more wealth in case we need to pay off that debt or get out of debt. Savings, another good one, 15%. We're up for savings. This is a high amount of savings that have not seen in the past. Everyone's still a bit wary of what's going on in the economy. So obviously everyone's, hoarding their cash. But this also means that there's lots of cash to be spent once the economy turns the corner and everyone starts going back towards consumption and going out, and Christmas is coming up, all that stuff. So we might have a very strong Christmas here in the economy. Homeowner equity. So what is homeowner equity? Homeowner equity is basically the value of your home minus your mortgage. That's how much equity you have in your home. So when we take a look, we have about anywhere from 72 to 76% equity on average in real estate across Canada. And that includes even line of credits that people have not even used yet, right? So that means there's a little big buffer in real estate still there in case there is a housing correction. It's still at record levels. Interesting stat here: the cohort that, or the age group that has experienced the most gains in homeowner equity is actually the under 35 crowd, and this is due mostly to the bank of mom and dad. A lot of people who've bought in the last couple of years have had to rely on the bank of mom and dad, and as you all know, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. It's very difficult to buy a home on your own without the bank of mom and dad. A lot of bank of mom and dads became millionaires in the past 10-15 years, so why not pass down that wealth and help your child get into a home as well, because I honestly don't believe real estate's going to get any cheaper. Over to you, Jason.
Mortgage minute. And am I muted? No, I'm not. Okay, fantastic. So what's happening in real estate, guys? Now, every week I tell you guys that inventory is low, and that's forcing prices up. What does that really mean? All right. So I wanted to kind of jump into some of the real numbers here. All right. So currently in September, now we still got about 3 days left, but the numbers we have right now are pretty accurate. All right. Currently, we have 9,469 sales that have taken place in the month of September. Now, let's take that back to September of 2020. All right. So just last year, 12,450 sales. All right. So
whoa. Are you saying that there's 3,000 less homes sold for the month of September versus last year?
That is exactly what we're saying. So
wow.
3,000. This isn't a slight disparity. Now let's keep in mind the introduction of the pandemic took place last year, so the market did go to a standstill for a little bit. There was some pent up demand that did get released in July, August, and September. However, those of you who were shopping for homes last year saw that it was very competitive in the month of September. And all we're seeing now is that it's even more competitive. All right. And this is all throughout Toronto. Now, when we reverse that down to how that's affected the market that I practice in Durham region, we are seeing month over month from August of 2021 to September of 2021, an average increase of 5.2%. All right. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but in reality, we have some markets that are going up by 8%, some that are going up by 2%. So this is just an average where we're looking at rural properties, your average residential. That is a huge leap. So again, guys, we are seeing a mixture of emotions with low rates and low inventory are just pumping those prices up.
So what's your call for the next couple of days remaining September? You think going to see?
I don't see 3,000 sales taking place in 3 days. We might see 50. I think that's more of a more realistic thing. I'm putting an offer in tonight, so I'll add to that. There'll be a firm sale today, hopefully. But yeah, like the inventory is really low. And again, as I mentioned last week, what we're running into is a lot of sellers are holding back the sale of their home because they want to ensure a purchase first. And what that's doing is that's just adding more to the demand and holding back. It's holding the inventory hostage. So I think we're going to have a run like this throughout the rest of 2021 and spilling over into 2022. I think we're going to keep hearing the same sentiment.
Okay, great. So Marlon, can I ask you one quick question from what you were sharing there about savings being up and with regards to debt, and can you give us a little bit of a synopsis of what you think that means for the Ontario economy and for the homeowner?
I think that it means the economy is probably in good shape. There's lots of people who are saving, they're paying down the debt. Really, the last piece to drive the economy is spending, right? Spending is what creates jobs. We all know that there's lots of job openings out there, but we also have a lack of labor force as well, right? So I think, there needs to be some kind of mechanism to trigger the spending. And I think that's what the vaccine passport is all about as well. We've seen, like, the stadiums open up back to full capacity, restaurants open up to full capacity. This is a way of bringing back the economy back to life and making people feel more safe in those kind of settings to come back out and spend that money, right? I don't think we're ever going to get back to the old normal, but we're certainly getting towards a new normal. And definitely we've seen debts at all-time low, savings are up, interest rates are low. It's all pent up. It's just there has to be something to release those funds, right? And I think we just need to show some stability for those monies to come out.
Love it. Love it. Looking for a little bit of stability, and definitely there's a lot of energy out there, as Jason was sharing with us. Well, guys, we talked about bringing in Alfonso Cuadra, and he's here with us today, and we're gonna bring him in here, and we're gonna be able to share with you. And here is the man. Woo!
What's up?
Happy Magic Monday.
I'm doing an inspection here, guys. I'm doing an inspection.
Love it. Love it.
You're gonna get a little echo.
Okay.
That's
Alfonso, great to have you on the show.
Everyone. Marlon, Jason, Neil, you guys are on fire.
So, Alfonso, okay, before we get into it, tell us, you're on site, you're doing an inspection?
Yeah. I wish I could give you a better tour, but when I start going into the hallways here, I start to lose some bars, but you can see it's a new build, 16 units, new build. We're closing on this the end of the month. Parkade, all the bells and whistles. We can go right to market rents, top tenants, right? This particular unit is actually wheelchair accessible. So you see the wide doors, you see how the bathroom is, and it's very difficult to find wheelchair accessible units in some of the old inventory that we have. And so, it's exciting. Love new. After this is 16 units after this. So right now, we actually broke ground on a 60-unit apartment building that we're putting up on the west end of Ottawa. So we're going new, baby. We're going shiny.
Okay, well, Alfonso, you got to tell us, because the question of the day is, you've got 500 units or more. Where are you at? How did you get there?
Well, you know what? I started with it like everybody else, right? I started with that first duplex that actually my first deal was over 22 years ago. So maybe around 23 years ago. I bought the single family. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I know a lot of you guys are investors, and you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad sold 30 million copies all across the world. But somehow, the people that read that book, they skip over what doesn't suit them, right? And in that book, over and over and over and over, they talk about how the single family is not the best investment, especially if you're going to live in that property, because of course it's going to be a liability, because all of this is, the upkeep, the mortgage, it's all being paid by you. But somehow we forget that. We forget the lessons in Monopoly, right? Where in Monopoly does it say to buy a house for yourself? The idea is buy, 4 greenhouses to level up into a 1 red motel? Units, baby, units. And so my second deal, so I realized really quickly that single wasn't going to work for me. And I had another business. I had a clothing company that I started about 26 years ago that was doing really, really well. We're a national brand all across Canada. I was in my early 20s. And shortly after 9/11, there was a mini contraction in the market. And it almost took us out. And what I ended up getting from that was that I was very, very vulnerable having this one source of income. And so what I wanted to do 20 plus years ago is create a secondary source of income that was indestructible. And so I looked at the single family. I mean, I was so vulnerable, and I started to level up in units. So my second deal was actually a duplex that I turned into a triplex, and I was able to pull out all the money, your typical Burr strategy, right? And I did that my first year in real estate 20 plus years ago. And within my first year, I was able to do that 10 times. And every time I just started leveling up in units. And every time I went to, like, for example, a 7-unit building.
Hang on, Alfonso. One moment. I just got to say this. Woo! Woo! All right. Carry on.
Okay. So every time I leveled up, right? So I remember buying my first 7-unit apartment building. I couldn't even sleep that night. I was like terrified. But once I purchased it, I was like, wait a minute, this is the same amount of work as my triplex, right? And then the first time I bought my 13-unit building, I was like, I was so scared, 13 tenants, oh my God, all at one time. But then I realized, there's the economy of scale, right? And this idea that you can actually spread the risk. It's actually less risky to go bigger as long as you know what you're doing and as long as you know how to put together the numbers. But it's actually less risky because you can spread the risk amongst more units. And so to me, that just was a complete eye opener. And then I started buying bigger, 20 units, 30 units, 40 units, 50 units, 60 units. And now we're here, 20 plus years later. Now we're going into new build apartment buildings, and it's exciting.
That's great. So can you, there's probably a whole lot of questions. Actually, maybe I'll give my my co-host a moment to ask a question before I jump in, because I know, Alfonso, I can.
We know each other, and it's like,
that's right. Let me give them a chance.
Great to meet you guys. Great to meet you guys.
Fantastic.
Two of your shows. You guys are excellent. You do an excellent job with this show. So congratulations, guys. Magic Mondays.
Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you.
Alfonso,
not
extremely ecstatic to have you here. Quick question. Now, we know you started. You just mentioned to us 22 years ago how you kind of got your foothold in it. Now, if you were talking to yourself, imagine you could go back those 22 years. What would you tell yourself? So again, like, this is advice you would give to somebody kind of trying to start out. What's something you would tell yourself, like, hey, avoid this, or do this more, or do this less? Like, what would you say to yourself then?
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. 22 years ago, people think I have I got a lot of courage, but I was. Can we curse on this show?
Go for it.
I was scared shitless. You know what I mean? Like I was scared, and I spent a lot of time playing small, right? Mm-hmm. When you talk to someone, you're like 10 deals in 1 year. You're playing it small. Yeah, I was still living within what I thought I was capable of, right? I was still buying the twosies, the triplex, the fourplexes, and I've spent a lot of time playing it small. And then when I realized what my potential was, I started to level up, and I realized, like, why didn't I do this from the very beginning? And so if I can go, I'm 44 now, and if I can go back to talk to my 20-year-old self, I would say, Alfonso, there's so much that is coming your way. Don't spend too much time. Now, you are going to have to learn those lessons, and you are going to have those stepping stones, but and enjoy them. Enjoy the journey, but you should level up. You should have leveled up faster. And so I would say, think about expanding, right? I'm a big promoter of being in consistent expansion. And what happens is, when we buy a triplex, or we buy a fourplex, or we buy a fiveplex, what happened to me was I became very comfortable with that. And even though to some people that's expansion, but when you're no longer growing, you're actually dying. So if I could talk to my 20-year-old self, I would say, Alfonso, level up sooner, level up faster, and don't be afraid to go big.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's great advice. Great advice. Alfonso, I do have one question for you. So, I mean, obviously, maybe something that scares people away from buying these multi-unit projects is they think they need to have a lot of cash in hand, or, how am I going to get financing for this? So I'm just curious, when you first started, were you working a lot with joint venture partners? Did you sell some of your twosies and your triplexes to fund the purchases? Like, how did you go about structuring the financing to get that ball going?
All of the above.
All the above. Okay. That's what I figured.
So this is something that I discovered. I was so worried about the financing that I would limit myself. Once I got into these bigger deals, I realized it's not even about me at all, right? It's all about the performance of the property. And that's what really makes the difference. And so, contrary to what people believe, it's easier for you to get financing on an apartment building because they're looking at that building like a business. And as long as the numbers work, the financing should be relatively easy versus buying a single family house or a duplex where it's all dependent on your credit, your employment, your debt to income ratio. It's easier for me to buy a $20 million property than it is for me to go and buy a house for myself, if you can believe it.
Wow.
Right?
I believe it.
I just don't even fit in there. I don't even feel that, you have no idea how many mortgages I have under my name. The people, it just it doesn't compute. It just, the computer actually starts to smoke. I don't fit into that debt income ratio.
Well, then the question that has to be asked, Alfonso, is how does someone get started? Where do they start? I mean, they've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and now they're like, okay, so where do I go from here?
That's actually a question that I get a lot. People are like, I got a 20,000 or I got a 30,000. Like, where do I go? Like, what's the area? What's the town? What's the secret?
Yeah, that's right. Where should I buy?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody is like, where should I buy? But first of all, where is your real estate IQ at is the question. Where are you? Do you know how to recognize a deal? The average person does not know how to recognize an opportunity. Not all real estate is good, right? And there is such a thing as overpaying. There is such a thing as buying the wrong property in the wrong area with the wrong tenants. All of these things is, people getting into the market, maybe watching a show, watching HGTV, or just getting really excited because they see their neighbors making money in real estate and not getting the education. So step number one, you have to educate yourself because of course, there is the trial and error, but that can be costly in real estate, right? Like the trial and error method, I wouldn't suggest it. I for sure, time. And what I suggest is get the education, get yourself some mentorship, tap into somebody else's experience. Real estate is, when you talk about all the different lords, think about the lords. All the lords are out of business except for one, the landlord. Landlord is still in business after all this time. And so, you're not reinventing the wheel here. You just have to follow systems and formulas that if you don't know what they are, it's going to take you a long time to try to figure it out on your own. And you might miss the opportunity. Before I jumped on, I just heard you guys talking about interest rates. And we are experiencing the lowest interest rates in human history. They're giving away money. Like money is given. They're just doing this. Like da, 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 da. This moment in time is going to be talked about They're going to talk. They're going to study us, guys. We're going to be in the textbooks. And your great grandkids are going to ask you, is it true that you were alive during the time in history where they were just giving away money? And you're going to say, yeah, that's true. I was alive back in the, early 2015s to 2020, 2020s. I mean, that was like some of the best times where just money was free. And then the question is going to be, what did you do? Right? What did you do? And your answer, you better hope your answer is like, yes, during that time, we took advantage of the opportunity of free money and we leveled up to, building our portfolio, securing our family's future during that time when they were giving away money. Because let's be honest, they're going to figure out how to make money through interest rates at some point. At some point, interest rates are going up, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable. Right now, they just, they're low. So take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, Alfonso, we've got to ask the question: if people want to get more of you, how do they get more? How do they get to hear more of your story and even the things that you teach? Because we know, of course, that you're a teacher in the industry as well.
Yeah. So the best way and the least expensive way would be, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. Right, it's a free subscription, and I'm on there daily, putting out content, helping people. I told you this before, Neil. I'm a freedom fighter. I fight for people's financial freedom, and the best way to do that is through the multifamily space. And they call me the apartment building whisperer, and they call me that for a reason. Well, one, I named myself that, and so I encourage people to call me that. But second is because I have a lot of experience in the game, and it just pours out of me. It comes out of my pores. And if you cut me right now, just like bricks falling out of my veins, like I'm just built this way. And so the best way, just subscribe to my YouTube channel. Other than that, people can Google me. I'm very Googleable. I'm on all platforms. And if I'm not on a platform, shame on me, because I'm everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I'm doing this stuff, I'm everywhere. I'm on Clubhouse. Find me on Clubhouse. Find me on all platforms.
Love it. Guys, please check out one of my mentors and one of my good friends, Alfonso Cuadra, at TikTok, YouTube. You can find him anywhere, on Facebook as well, and you can get more stuff from him and learn about multi-family investing. Alfonso, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, guys. Great to meet you, Jason and Marlon. You guys are awesome. Keep up the great work.
Fantastic. It was a pleasure having you.
Love your passion and energy. Love it.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that, guys. Alfonso loves you, and we're going to see you at the top.
See you there.
That's great. Wow. Okay, guys. Final thoughts on Alfonso's journey to 500 units.
I'd love to reiterate what he said, guys. Do not limit yourself. So many of our viewers here today, and I meet these people all the time where they have this idea, they're on the fence and they want to stay within their own comfort zone. And the reality is you only grow when you get out of your comfort zone. So I loved his energy, and I love the fact that he said what he said, where he said, hey, if he could talk to his younger self, a guy who did 10 deals in his first year, 10 purchases, said he was thinking too small and that he could have done more. So if you think, hey, 2 deals is too much, think again.
Yeah. I think what I loved about what he shared was a lot of times we just think in terms of what can we afford. We just think in terms of what are we able to do. And but if you think in terms of the deal, it's a whole lot easier to attract money. And that was I was the guy that because I tried to time and trial, test and trial and do that stuff, that took me 10 years to learn some of that stuff. And so I lost out on that time. And so I definitely would echo those words and go, because Alfonso talks about that. If you really make sure you have the right deal, then you will find the money because people will run to it.
I think for me, yeah, and I think that's right. And if you have the right deal, you'll find a way to get it done, right? And I think me as a mortgage agent, people just think we work with banks and B lenders and stuff. But Neil, you're a big private lender guy. I do quite a bit of privates myself, and it's a shame that people look badly upon privates because private is one of the key ways to get some of the financing going for this stuff, and it's actually a great tool to get into multi-residential unit lending, and it's been painted with this bad brush when it actually helps a lot of people achieve quite a bit of wealth. And I would encourage your viewers to learn more about private lending from Neil or myself, or just in general, because the banks are not the only game in town, and they're not the nicest lenders either. So
Oh, listen, we're really grateful for the banks.
We are.
when they give us the cheaper money, but absolutely you can use private lending for multi-unit investing, and I can say we've been doing that a lot, especially when there are situations where they will, because of some of the restrictions, some of the policies and regulations, you can move over to private lending, but that only works if the deal is right. And so if you can learn how to spot a deal, then it really changes the landscape and changes what's accessible to you. So, guys, thank you so much, Marlon, Jason. It's been amazing. For all of you guys that have been watching, thank you so much for watching another episode of Magic Mondays. And we'll see you guys, on behalf of my co-hosts, we'll see you guys next week.